When we talk about best running backs in the NFL, I really have a hard time not putting Nick Chubb at the top of that list. And just to be clear, I'm strictly talking about running the football. I'm not talking about anything else because I do think that McCaffrey is the better overall back because of what he adds in the passing game. But I think Chubb is just so good, and I really want to make a video and talk about just why I think he's such an incredible player. And so when he has yet another great game against Washington, this is what I'm going to do. We'll start off with this play. It's going to be a run to the left side of the screen, and you notice that there are a lot of Cleveland Browns pulling over to block. It's not a very typical blocking concept. You have your left tackle who's going to move over and block an interior defensive lineman. You then pull the left guard over to block the edge rusher. The reason why you do it this way is it kind of gives you a better angle, sort of just give you that wedge to potentially run through. You also have your right guard pulling over and a tight end moving over to block a couple people in the middle of the field. And so you look at the Washington player who I have circled. He is the player who is closest that is unblocked. And once this play starts, the wedge doesn't work out too well, but there's enough room to the outside that Chubb can just run over there. However, now there is that Washington player who can run over and try and make a play. So Chubb's gotten a couple yards on this play, but he doesn't have a ton. However, what you're going to see Chubb do is he's just going to make a quick move to make a guy miss. And it's that ability to change direction while at a top speed that's just so impressive. And quite frankly, he probably is the best in the NFL. Actually, I'll say he definitely is the best in the NFL at that. I think it's kind of hard to sit here and say who really is the best halfback in the NFL because, quite frankly, there's just different things you can value. I mean, you can make an argument for a guy like Derrick Henry. I think they're different enough runners, although somewhat similar, but they are different enough runners that you can definitely make that argument, and I wouldn't be mad at you for making it. And there's a couple other guys, I'm not going to list all of them, that you can make an argument for as well. I just think that for me, for what I value, Chubb is that guy. This is another play I really like where you're going to have really, what's interesting about this is that so the left guard moves over to block the defensive player who's lined up against the center. Center moves over to block a linebacker. Left tackle moves over a little bit to the right. So all these blocks are kind of going to the right. That's how this concept works. The one other thing you're going to want to notice is that Mayfield is going to roll out to the left side of the screen. And you're going to notice right when this play starts that a couple things. First off, you notice that a Washington player does a pretty good job at avoiding his block and getting in position to where he can try and tackle Chubb. Why does Chubb already have so much space to that side? Well, it's because the other Washington player, who's supposed to be the contained guy, moved so far over because he thought that Baker Mayfield had the ball. So, usually we talk about guys getting fooled with play action. Now we're talking about guys getting fooled with thinking it's a rollout. So good job by Cleveland there. But, again, a Washington player is in position where he can try and make a move. So what is Chubb going to do? I think a lot of people would expect Chubb to just run to the left side of the screen, just try to use his speed, and hopefully he can get through. But Chubb has other ideas. He's going to instead run up, and what's amazing about this is he's able to do this so quickly that Washington player never even touches him. Not only this, but then he makes another defensive back miss and finds his way to get into the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, these are highlight reel level plays, and these are plays that some guys would put on their career highlight reel, and he's doing them every game. I mean, he really is. The way he can make guys miss is just so impressive. It can happen later on in a play, like what happened there. It can also happen earlier on in the play. When it's not always when things go right, and he's able to take advantage and get even more yards. Sometimes it's when things go wrong, and he's able to just bail his, blocking in front of him out. Like right here, what's worth noting is that this tight end, really his job is to block the Washington player, just get him out of the way, get him in a certain direction real quick. He doesn't have to get him too far out of the way. He doesn't have to move him too much. Really what he wants to do is make a quick block and then try to get over 230 to make the play. And again, Chubb is going to run in that direction. The hope is that he gets there so quickly that there's not much that that defensive player can do. The problem is that right when this starts, you notice that Washington player doesn't get moved at all and instead has ran right in front of Nick Chubb. So again, this is how really bad plays can happen. This is how big losses in the running game can happen. Those 3-yard, 4-yard losses on a rush. But again, what's so amazing about Chubb is the way he can move directions. And now it's going to be a jump cut. And watch how he just so simply just moves over and then is able to get right back to that top speed and shoot the gap and pick up a huge gain. I mean, it almost looked like he just straight up teleported just a couple of yards over and then was still able to get up to a top speed basically instantly. I mean, just an incredible play. Although, let's be honest, well, these plays are incredible. This is not often what a running back is supposed to do. And quite frankly, no running backs, not even the best in the NFL, are making those kind of plays consistently. They're just not. Because the average rush, you're only going to get a few yards on each play. That's just what you averagely do. And if you look at this game, if you look at each one of his rushes, he had a ton of 2-yard runs, a ton of 4-yard runs. It wasn't just him, breaking free every single play. It really wasn't. He had certain moments for sure, but a lot of a running back's job is to just pick up 4 yards when the offensive line gives you 2. And Chubb is so good at that. I swear, on almost all of these plays, he's getting his team an extra yard or 2. And this one is a fantastic example of that. It's going to be a run to the right side of the screen. That's the blocking. And there is going to be a Washington player who's going to do a very good job of getting over and getting in position to try and make a tackle on Chubb. There's a tight end who's going to run up to block him, but very quickly he runs over. So at this point, as you see, he has an opportunity to shoot the gap, and really there's only one gap that Chubb has a chance of running through. I mean, he could try to do something else, but that seems very risky with all the other bodies around. And honestly, if he took a different gap, he probably ends up, losing yards, or at least there's a very real chance he does. What he should do is what he's going to do, which is just run through that gap. But watch this, and watch how he gets through that gap, and he just falls forward and is able to pick up as many yards as possible. He gets all the way to the 43-yard line. Maybe that doesn't sound too incredible. That was a 4-yard run. It's nothing spectacular, but really most backs only get you 2 yards there. And again, that's a lot of how a halfback can be successful. It's just get those extra couple of yards on most runs, and then, obviously when he has the big runs, it just adds so much value. And of course, getting more yards than the offensive line gives you, or at least just getting as much as the offensive line gives you, it works both ways. It's not just getting 4 yards on a rush that most guys would get 2 yards on. It's also a play like this, where it's going to be a run through the left side of the screen. They have a double team on the edge, but with 2 tight ends. Then a tight end runs up to block a player at the second level. They're also going to swing over their right guard to block in that area as well. So, they're trying to, it's actually a pretty good blocking concept. If it can work, it's going to work. As you see, there is a gap on the edge right there. Chubb is running through, and Chubb just has a ton of room. I mean, this was just well blocked by Cleveland, and that is something that has to be mentioned as well, is this Cleveland running game is just a lot of, it is absolutely the way that they can block in front of Chubb. I think Chubb is incredible regardless, but I think that with this running game, you're now seeing him, look even better than he already has looked. But again, watch how Chubb, he has the acceleration, and then he just has the speed to where he's just able to get all the way to the edge. And look at all of these yards he picks up after he gets around the edge. He gets inside the 20. He's not able to get a touchdown. And, absolutely the number one thing about this play was the offensive line. Nobody watches this play and says, what a run by Nick Chubb. People watch it and say, what a block by their right guard. Or what a good job by their 2 tight ends blocking. Okay, let's be honest. Most people still do say, what a run by Nick Chubb, because the running back gets all the credit in the running game. But, I think a lot of people would just give that credit to the offensive line. But he deserves some credit as well for that play. And again, he can do those types of things like I showed in the last 2 plays, and then he can make these highlight reel level plays. And you can make a Nick Chubb highlight reel after every game. He's that good. I do think he's the best in the game right now. I think that, listen, I know people are going to say, well, he's still young. In running backs, if you're the best right now, then you're the best right now. If you're having the best season, you're the best in the game. If you had the best season last year, you're the best in the game this year, just because of how quickly that position can fluctuate and how quickly you can fall off a map. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. If not him, who is the best in the game? I always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.